Made industrial pumps for 60 years. Good pumps. Boring, reliable, profitable. Then a flaw was found. A corrosion issue in a core component. It failed. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great concern that I must inform you a class action lawsuit has been filed against Ashman Manufacturing. This is not about a bad business deal. It is a case about the corruption of truth itself. It is about using deception as a tool. But at its heart, this is a case about a man who thought he could rewrite reality with a good enough story, no matter how boring, has receipts, and its paper is always authentic. Yes, here.
Your Honor, the evidence clearly shows that Ashman Manufacturing has been negligent in their operations, leading to significant environmental damage. Your Honor, the evidence clearly shows Ashman Manufacturing's negligence.
What? Ladies and gentlemen, court the undeniable evidence has consistently violated the regulations.
The court recognizes the importance of Ashman Manufacturing's contributions to the local economy.
To the regular viewers of this channel, welcome back. For those of you who are new here, your attention to matters of justice is critical. I urge you to actively engage, like, share, and subscribe to ensure these discussions reach those who need to hear them. The prosecutor picks up a case file, opening it deliberately. Now let's examine the evidence. Let's look at what the facts, not vague messages, have to say today. What do you need to know? What is legally important for you to understand? Let's begin. First exhibit, keys and a letter. This represents access and documentation. In legal terms, this signifies discovery, the process of obtaining relevant documents from the opposing party. This is not mystery. It is procedure. Next, we have the moon and a book. This does not symbolize universe messages. In a court of law, this represents concealed information, potential falsification, or obfuscation. We are talking about perjury. We are talking about fabricated evidence, forged reports, or fraudulent affidavits. The state's position is this: if you have been subjected to false allegations, there is a mechanism. You have the right, the constitutional and statutory right, to discovery. You have the right to subpoena records, to break seals on confidential documents, and to expose lies that were entered into the official record. This is how you challenge a miscarriage of justice. The prosecutor places the cards down firmly, as if entering exhibits into evidence. Now, consider this combination, the magician and justice. This isn't about magic. This is about manipulation. It depicts a party attempting to manipulate the judicial system, to use procedure as a weapon rather than a tool for truth. They may try to fabricate new evidence, intimidate witnesses, or file malicious motions. But they are facing the 10 of Swords and the 10 of Wands. This represents being overwhelmed by the consequences of their own actions. Multiple charges, the burden of sustaining a lie, and the inevitable collapse of a fabricated narrative. Our investigation suggests a pattern of harassment, stalking, and a sustained campaign to defraud. The individuals involved may believe they are above the law. They may have even enlisted corrupt accomplices. But let me be clear, the law is a system of accountability. The prosecutor leans forward, speaking with focused intensity. What is the motivation? The evidence points to theft, fraud, and financial gain. This is not about emotions. This is about crime. The mice card? That is the behavior of a thief. The laundry card? That suggests money laundering or illicit financial activity. The scheme was to make you the scapegoat for their illegal enterprise. They may have attempted to label you as unstable or incompetent to discredit you. This is a common tactic to undermine a victim's credibility. But the forensics of truth are not so easily dismissed. Here is what the discovery process, witness testimony, and forensic audit reveal. The sun, the truth, 7 of Swords, the exposed deception, the House of Cards falls, the outcome as indicated by death and ending, the Wheel of Fortune, the turning of the case, and the 8 of Wands, swift resolution, points toward a legal conclusion. The Queen of Swords is you, informed, armored with evidence, and litigating from a position of strength. The Ace of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles signify the restoration of your assets, reputation, and stability. This is not a prediction. This is a roadmap for litigation. Your path is 1. Secure legal counsel. 2. File for full discovery. 3. Support law enforcement's investigation into fraud and perjury. 4. Pursue civil restitution and criminal prosecution where applicable. The happy ending of travel, love, the lovers, and prosperity, the ship, strength, is not granted by fate. It is secured by prevailing in a court of law, by holding the guilty accountable, and by reclaiming the life that was stolen from you through fraud. The prosecutor closes the file and looks squarely into the camera. This concludes today's briefing. The law is your tool. Use it. If you are new to this channel, your understanding of these processes is vital. Like, share, and subscribe. Knowledge of your rights is the first step toward justice. We will see you next time. To our dedicated followers of jurisprudence, welcome back. If you are just joining us, your vigilance matters. Like, share, and subscribe to ensure these critical discussions on accountability reach the public square. Today, we are opening the file on a case that cuts to the heart of trust and betrayal, theft by deception in the digital age. Our subjects are not burglars in the night, but manipulators in the light, specifically the crime of identity assumption and asset diversion. The prosecutor opens a case file, revealing printed screenshots and financial records. Let's examine the facts. The scheme is modern, but the crime is ancient. Exhibit A, the helper facade. The perpetrator presents themselves as a tech-savvy relative, a family IT expert, or a compassionate new partner. Their first move is not to steal, but to assist. They help an older or less technologically proficient victim set up online banking, consolidate accounts for convenience, or offer to manage bills to reduce stress. This is the psychological hook. Exhibit B, the bait and switch of authority. Using this position of trust, they orchestrate a gradual transfer of authority. They might add themselves as a trusted contact or authorized user on financial accounts, coerce or forge a change in power of attorney, manipulate the victim into sharing passwords under the guise of fixing a security glitch. This is the magician card in action, misdirection. The victim believes they are being helped, while the legal and digital frameworks of control are being silently transferred. Exhibit C, the silent diversion. The theft begins not with a wire transfer, but with a redirect. Automatic deposits, pensions, social security, dividends are subtly rerouted to a new, joint account the perpetrator controls. Small, recurring subscriptions are changed to benefit the perpetrator's services. This is the mice card. Not one large theft, but countless small nibbles that go unnoticed until the pantry is bare. Exhibit D, the manufactured crisis and isolation. To prevent detection, the perpetrator creates a smokescreen. They may fabricate a story about the bank, making errors, or being compromised. Isolate the victim from family or financial advisors, claiming they are trying to steal your money, or don't understand our new system. Use anger, guilt, or manufactured emergencies to keep the victim off balance and compliant. This is the moon card. Lies, confusion, and emotional manipulation clouding reality. The state's case. This is not a simple theft. This is financial elder abuse, identity theft, fraudulent conversion, and computer crimes. The evidence trail is in the digital logs. IP addresses accessing accounts at unusual hours, changed contact emails, and the electronic paper trail of redirected funds. The defense's likely strategy and our counter. They will claim, I had permission. I was helping. The victim was confused and gifted me these things. Our rebuttal is a forensic timeline. We will juxtapose the date the perpetrator gained access, the date the financial outflows began, medical records showing the victim's soundness of mind prior to the isolation, testimony from estranged family members about the sudden change in behavior. The Ten of Swords here is the overwhelming weight of this digital and testimonial evidence against the defendant. The path to justice. Document everything. Secure statements, emails, text messages. Note every inconsistency in the helper's stories. Alert financial institutions. File immediate reports of suspected fraud. Request account freeze and an internal audit. Report to authorities. This is a crime. Contact Adult Protective Services and your local police department's financial crimes unit. Seek an emergency injunction. A lawyer can file for an immediate court order to freeze assets, revoke fraudulent powers of attorney, and restore account control. The prosecutor closes the file, his tone shifting from analytical to resolute. The conclusion of this case is not found in a tarot card, but in a verdict. The Justice card is the gavel falling. The Ace of Pentacles is the court-ordered restitution, reclaiming what was stolen. The Sun is the truth revealed, restoring clarity to the victim and dignity to the process. This is a warning to those who prey on trust. We see your digital fingerprints. Your manipulation is a prosecutable offense. And to the public, guard your access like you guard your house keys. Vigilance is your first defense. Case file. Paternity fraud. Scheme victor. Nature of crime. Genetic kidnapping. Grand larceny by deception. Conspiracy to commit fraud on the court. Emotional torture. The players. The architect. A highly organized individual, often with a background in law, medicine, or finance. The accomplice. A compliant male associate or a secretly procured sperm donor whose genetic material is used as the biological scaffold. The target. A high net worth individual or a specific man chosen for destruction. The child. The ultimate weapon and unwitting evidence. The scheme, phase 1. Fabrication. The architect, already in a relationship with the target, determines the time is right for a child. However, she intentionally conceives with the accomplice. The conception event is meticulously planned to align with a period of sexual activity with the target, creating plausible deniability. Prenatal paternity tests are avoided through manipulation. I don't want the risk to the baby, or how could you doubt me? The scheme, phase 2, the anchor. The child is born. The target's name is placed on the birth certificate, often while he is in an emotional state of joy or obligation. This document is the first and most critical fraudulent instrument. The target is now legally and financially bound for 18 years. The scheme, phase 3, monetization and entrapment. For years, the architect leverages this fraudulent paternity. She secures substantial child support, access to the target's health insurance, inheritance rights for the child, and social capital. The threat is always implicit. Be the father I tell everyone you are, or I will destroy you. If the target ever questions, he is gaslit, accused of being a deadbeat in the making, and threatened with total alienation. The scheme, phase 4. The trigger or the trap. The fraud is designed for one of two endgames. The cash out. When maximum financial extraction is complete, or the target attempts to move on, marry another, have legitimate children, the architect discovers the truth. She may stage finding an old email, or break down with guilt. She then uses this revelation to extort a massive, final settlement from the target to avoid public humiliation and to spare the child. The destroyer. If the target is an enemy from the start, an ex-husband, a business rival, a man who rejected her, the reveal is public and nuclear. She files for an increase in support while simultaneously revealing the child is not his, not to free him but to torture him. The goal is to make him pay for a lie while experiencing the agony of losing a child he loved as his own. It is emotional murder. The evidence, building the case. This is a paper and DNA trail of immense cruelty. Digital forensics. We subpoena all communications. We look for coded messages to the accomplice around the conception window. We find searches for paternity test accuracy, statute of limitations fraud, or payments to the accomplice disguised as loans. Financial discovery. We trace the child support. We then trace the architect's expenditures, showing the funds were not for the child, but for luxury assets in her name alone. The genetic truth. The court-ordered paternity test is our Excalibur. It does not lie. The testimony of the accomplice. We flip him. We offer immunity for the fraud in exchange for testimony on the conspiracy. He reveals the planning sessions, the intentional timing, the financial kickbacks he received. The charges: grand larceny, for every child support payment obtained under false pretenses; conspiracy to defraud; filing a false instrument, the birth certificate; intentional infliction of emotional distress, a civil tort we will argue has criminal magnitude; fraud on the court, for any family court proceedings she initiated; the defense's expected strategy and our annihilation. They will weep. This was a mistake, a tragic secret I carried out of love for my family. I was scared. The target was emotionally distant. This is a private family matter. We will eviscerate that. We will show the calculus. We will enter into evidence the spreadsheet we recovered from her encrypted cloud drive. A cold cost-benefit analysis of target A versus accomplice B, projecting 18-year support totals, college fund access, and Social Security survivor benefits. We will show the Google search, dated 3 days before conception. How to fake conception date. The 10 of Swords is that spreadsheet. It is the premeditation made manifest in Excel. The path to justice. For a victim, do not confront. Secure a covert paternity test through a legally admissible chain of custody. Immediately hire a forensic family law attorney and a criminal prosecutor. File a civil lawsuit for fraud and intentional infliction of emotional distress alongside the criminal complaint. This creates a pincer movement from which there is no escape. The prosecutor's gaze is merciless. This crime steals more than money. It steals a man's past, his present, and his legacy. It weaponizes the most sacred human bond, that of parent and child, and turns it into a forged instrument of theft and torture. To the public, trust but verify. Biology is not a matter of faith. It is a matter of fact. Demand the fact. To the perpetrators, your spreadsheets are readable. Your encrypted messages are decryptable. Your lies have a half-life and it has expired. Like, share, and subscribe. Expose the blueprint. The court of public opinion is in session, and the gavel of justice is coming down. Court is adjourned. Case file. The furniture of memory. Nature of crime, high-value sentimental and provenance theft. The target. Not cash, but irreplaceable narrative artifacts. The scheme. A curated theft ring operates within the ultra-wealthy estate sale and interior design world. They don't steal the $10 million money. They steal the things the insurance won't properly value. The target. A handwritten, annotated script from a deceased Pulitzer-winning playwright. A worn leather folio containing a founding father's personal grocery lists and musings. The hand-carved crib of a European royal heir. The value is in the intimate, provable biography of the object. The method. Infiltration. A member of the ring gains employment as an archivist, estate manager, or high-end interior designer for a family. Documentation and substitution. They meticulously document the item. Then, they create a flawless replica or source a visually similar period piece. They swap it. The replica is now authenticated by the family's own records and memories. The original disappears into a black market vault. The false provenance laundering. Years later, the original piece resurfaces at a niche, ultra-private auction in another hemisphere. It comes with a newly discovered, impeccably forged provenance trail, showing it was in a private European collection since the 1950s. It sells for millions to a collector who will never know they bought stolen goods, creating a clean financial trail for the thieves. The crack. An obsessive historian cross-referencing digitized estate inventories noticed a pattern. Specific types of intimate, low-security artifacts were disappearing from aging American dynasties and reappearing a decade later with suspiciously similar European provenance papers. The digital footprint of the forger, a master calligrapher, had a unique, algorithmically identifiable quirk in his digital pen pressure, found on every forged document. The evidence. The forger's digital fingerprint. Satellite imagery and travel records placing ring members at every victim estate before the swaps. The vault, a climate-controlled warehouse in Liechtenstein, containing 200-plus unlaundered originals, waiting for their turn to re-enter history with a lie. The charge, transportation of stolen property, wire fraud, conspiracy, mail fraud. Our rebuttal to, you can't prove it's the same item. It's just similar furniture. We don't have to. We have the receipts for the replicas you commissioned. We have the UV photos showing your replica's modern glue beside the family's 19th century nails. You didn't steal a chair. You stole a chapter of a family's soul and tried to rewrite it. The prosecutor steps back, folding his arms. Theft is no longer about what you can carry. It is about what you can convince, corrupt, or clone. Targets not just wealth, but legacy, memory, and reality itself. Our task is to be the forensic accountants of truth. To follow the money, yes, but more importantly, to follow the logic of the lie. Every sophisticated lie has a structure, and every structure can be demolished. Stay vigilant. Question the flawless narrative. Verify the foundation of your reality. Like, share, and subscribe. Knowledge is the ultimate security system. Court is adjourned. Case file. The ghost in the chain. Nature of crime. Quantum leverage fraud and predictive deception. Synopsis. A boutique investment firm, Kronos Predictive Holdings, claimed to have developed a quantum-adjacent algorithm that could analyze global supply chain data with 96-hour predictive accuracy. They didn't forecast markets. They claimed to forecast disruptions. Which shipping lane would close, which microchip plant would fire, which raw material would spike. The deception. They presented potential clients, hedge funds, corporate logistics arms with a live dashboard. It showed stunning private data. Real container ship positions, factory output logs, port authority internal memos. The algorithm would then issue a predictive signal. Congestion at Rotterdam predicted in 92 hours. Divert to Hamburg. And it was always right. For 3 months, every client who followed the signal saved or made millions. The truth. There was no algorithm. They were the disruption, the mechanism, the seed. Kronos used its initial capital to bribe a low-level official at the Suez Canal Authority to cause a minor, 12-hour administrative delay. The prediction. Their dashboard would then predict this delay to their clients 96 hours before they caused it. The proof and theft. Clients, seeing the prediction come true, were awed. They invested staggering sums for exclusive access to the algorithm. The scale-up. With this new capital, Kronos didn't improve their tech. They escalated their sabotage. They hired hackers to create the port system glitches they predicted. They paid union agitators to call for the spontaneous strikes they forecast. They manufactured the reality they were selling foresight of. They were not prophets. They were arsonists selling fire insurance on buildings they owned. Just before they struck the match. The crack. A risk analyst at a target fund noticed a pattern. The predictions only covered events with low-grade, plausible deniability origins. Never natural disasters. Always human error or small-scale unrest. Her team began cross-referencing the predicted events with unusual financial flows preceding them. They found the payments in cryptocurrency, from Kronos shell accounts to the very individuals who would later cause the event. Our case, we have the blockchain ledger. It is a confession written in code. Each predicted event is preceded by a payment to its architect. We have the testimony of the bribed official, who thought he was being paid by a logistics company to create competitive advantage. We will charge wire fraud, securities fraud, and criminal conspiracy. But the core charge is fraud by deception of a sublime kind. They sold a lie about the nature of reality itself, claiming it was predictable when they were merely its puppet masters. The defense will sob, "We provided a valuable service. We saved our clients money. The origin of the data is irrelevant." Our rebuttal. You didn't provide a weather report. You built a hidden sprinkler system, turned it on, and charged people for an umbrella. Your service was the orchestration of the harm you claimed to protect against. The Ten of Swords is your own payment ledger. It is the needle you used to stitch the fabric of your deception, and we will unravel the entire tapestry with it. Case file. The Siren's contract. Nature of crime. Jurisdictional mirage and contractual identity fraud. Synopsis. This targets not money directly, but legal liability. A consortium of drone manufacturers faces catastrophic class action lawsuits for a systemic software flaw. Their exposure billions. Their solution: not to fix the flaw, but to disappear the entity legally responsible for it. The deception: they create a beautiful, complex fiction, a legacy partner, a seemingly reputable, decades-old Finnish engineering firm called Kalevala Dynamics. They forge a paper trail showing that the flawed navigation module was not their design, but was licensed exclusively from Kalevala under a strict, as is, agreement that indemnifies them from all defects. They produce contracts signed 15 years prior. They produce engineering specs with Kalevala letterhead. They produce deposition videos from a retired Kalevala lead engineer, a paid actor with a convincing accent and coached technical knowledge, admitting the flaw was a tragic oversight in our proprietary code. The plaintiff's lawyers are furious but stymied. They must now sue this obscure Finnish firm. They file suit in Helsinki. The truth: Kalevala Dynamics is a shell within a ghost. It has a beautiful website, a Helsinki P.O. box, and one part-time employee who forwards mail. Its historical factory is a rented empty warehouse with a faded sign. The legacy is a fiction, painstakingly authored by novelists and graphic designers on the manufacturer's payroll. The goal is not to win in Finnish court. The goal is to make the lawsuit so procedurally complex, expensive, and jurisdictionally doomed that the plaintiffs are forced into a settlement for pennies. They sold the court a defendant made of smoke. The crack, a junior associate at the plaintiff's firm, tasked with the drudgery of authenticating the historical Kalevala contracts, decided to check the paper. Not the words, the paper. Forensic analysis showed the 15-year-old contract paper contained a specific optical brightener not commercially used until 5 years ago. The paper was a forgery. The entire edifice, built on a single anachronistic sheet of modern pulp, collapsed. Our case: we will charge fraud on the court, obstruction of justice, and criminal conspiracy. This is deception aimed at the judicial system itself, perverting the course of justice by inventing a guilty party that does not exist, to shield the truly guilty. The defense will shrug. We relied on representations from a third-party partner. We are victims too. Our rebuttal: you didn't rely on a partner. You scripted, cast, and directed the partner. You are the playwright, the producer, and the actor in this tragicomedy. The justice card here is not a blindfolded woman. She is a forensic document examiner with a high-powered microscope. Prosecutor pauses, looks directly into the camera, his voice dropping to a chilling, deliberate register. Fraud by deception is the most intimate of crimes. It does not take, persuades you to give. It does not break down your door. It convinces you to change the locks and hand it the only key. It is a psychological hack. It inserts a false axiom into your worldview. This algorithm is magic. This liability belongs to a ghost. This child is yours. This helper is loyal, and allows the brutal mathematics of consequence to do the rest. Our duty is to be logicians, to find the single flawed premise in the killer's elegant syllogism and expose it, to show that the beautiful painting they sold you is painted on a canvas of lies. To the public, trust your skepticism. It is not cynicism. It is your immune system. Verify the foundation of every deal, every claim, every relationship that carries weight. Like, share, and subscribe. Spread the protocol for detection. We are closing the vulnerability. Court is adjourned.
The court recognizes the importance of Ashman Manufacturing's contributions to the local economy.